Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, the White House issues guidance for AI use case inventories, and tech groups urge congressional leaders to pass a bill on agency software buying. It's Monday, August 26, 2024. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Here are today's top headlines. The Biden administration has finalized guidance for federal agencies' 2024 artificial intelligence use case inventories, teeing up a more comprehensive process than previous years and setting a mid-December deadline. That new document is dated August 14th, but was published publicly on AI.gov on Friday, according to a website tracking tool used by FedScoop. While much of the document remains the same as the draft, the final version includes several changes, such as narrowing the scope of excluded use cases and adding a section on deadline extension requests for compliance with risk management practices. The guidance also establishes a clear deadline for inventories to be submitted to the White House's Office of Management and Budget, December 16, 2024. Agencies are required to disclose the information about their AI uses via an OMB-managed form and subsequently post a machine-readable CSV of all publicly releasable use cases on their website. Claire Martirana, federal CIO and chair of the Chief AI Officers Council, said in a statement that with increased AI use comes increased responsibility, which is why annual AI use case inventory reporting is so important. It provides the public with greater transparency and helps preserve trust by demonstrating a commitment to ethical standards, accountability, and responsible AI usage. The new guidance is the latest iteration of how non-Department of Defense and intelligence community agencies will go about collecting and producing lists of their planned, new, and existing AI use cases. The inventories were first established under a 2020 Trump-era executive order on AI, later enshrined into statute, and now have been expanded upon by the Biden administration. In other news, 5 of the country's leading software and tech advocacy organizations are urging Senate and House leadership to pass bipartisan, bicameral legislation aimed at improving federal agency oversight and management of software purchases before this congressional term comes to a close. In a letter shared exclusively with FedScoop, the tech groups urged Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, House Speaker Mike Johnson, and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries to take action on the Strengthening Agency Management and Oversight of Software Assets Act by the end of the session, referring to the bill to bolster transparency and communication in IT spending across federal agencies as must-pass legislation. Better known as the SAMOSA Act, the bill will reduce unnecessary technology-related costs across federal agencies by requiring independent and comprehensive assessments of current software management practices, per the letter, which was signed by the Coalition for Fair Software Licensing, the Alliance for Digital Innovation, the Computer and Communications Industry Association, NetChoice, and the Software Information and Industry Association. The legislation has been waiting for more than a year in both the Senate and House. The Senate version, from Senator Gary Peters and Bill Cassidy, cleared the chamber's Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee in May 2023. 2 months later, the House companion, introduced by Representative Matt Cartwright and 20 bipartisan co-sponsors, sailed through the Oversight Committee in that chamber. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.